Alrighty then, this is a bit video from my buddy Eusgen, who's been looking to get into Hearts Iron 4, but he doesn't know where to start. As a result, I thought I might record one of my games and post it on my YouTube channel for him. I hope you enjoy Eusgen. Things might look a little bit different, as I own all the DLC, but hopefully things will make some sort of sense for you. This game is going to be purely vanilla, with no mods, and for this game I'll start out by playing with one of my favorite countries, which is Hungary. The rest of this video is going to be totally unscripted, so I hope you enjoy this playthrough. So first thing I'm going to do is look at all this research stuff we want to deal with. Starting first, I'm going to go with wrenches, I'm going to go with construction, and I'm going to go with engineering. As Hungary, we start with this Treaty of Trianon, which just absolutely cripples our military, and so we're going to start the game building a few civilian factories. We don't have the best industry, but we'll try. We have some free military factories, we need some guns, support equipment, we'll get some artillery just in case, and we start with first level of close air support, so I'm going to take advantage of that, and some more guns. We're a little bit in the debt, we need some steel, need 8 pieces of steel, so I'm going to buy it from, we don't know who our allies are going to be yet, let's buy it from a neutral country like Sweden. We have a sizable army, 16 divisions, all of it fairly trained, but not a whole lot in the way of manpower. I'm going to assign him a general. This gentleman looks decent. You shall be our general. And you are only field marshal. Click on this army. Going to make an order on the Czech border. Currently we are producing artillery, which we plan to put in our divisions, but we need army experience to do that. So that's what this means. We have basically no manpower, which again is from this Treaty of Trianon we're trying to get rid of. And we have a little bit of a resource problem, but we're working on it. So, national focus. We have a few options here. We could start our rearmament program. We could start getting some more factories. We could consider going fascist or communist. Or we'll just go with a balanced budget. Personally, I think rearming is the best thing to bear in mind. So we're going to go for our secret rearmament, which will give us more recruitable population and a small amount of factory output. We do not start with the Navy as we are landlocked. We have a fairly small air force, but we're just going to put them all in Budapest because we're not going to be using them for a while now. Going to turn up the speed and, well, just let time pass. See if something important happens. Obviously, we have basically no manpower, because we are stuck at 1% recruitable population, which is then cut in half because our Treaty of Trianon, which is essentially the Hungarian version of the Treaty of Versailles. So, despite wanting to invade a whole bunch of different countries, we're kind of stuck here. We're still, all the countries around us, Czechoslovakia and Romania are guaranteeing each other. Romania is guaranteeing all these countries, and Yugoslavia is guaranteeing these two countries. So, yeah, people don't really like Hungary. Who would have guessed? We have Austria here, which we know is going to get eaten by the Germans, their Anschluss focus. But, you know, hopefully we can do something about that. Alright, we're at 100 political power, so we can now do a thing. I'm going to go over here to political actions, and I'm going to select improve worker conditions, which will cost 100 political power, will give us minus factory output. Consumer goods factories means we won't be able to use nearly as many factories for building shit, but we're early on, but it will give us stability, and stability gives us a whole bunch of good stuff. So, long-term benefits are worth doing this. So our stability is now going to slowly tick up. And alright, we have finished our rearmament program, or we have finished our secret rearmament program. The Rhineland has been demilitarized, and nobody seems to really care. Slightly worrying for us. No biggie. Next thing we're going to do is balance budget, which gives us pure political power. And political powers will be used for getting stuff done as the government. We finished researching that. So let's get us faster researching speed. Computers don't generally do anything of their own, but they help you research other stuff faster. And we're currently at 15% research speed, mostly because I'm playing it on lower difficulty. But that's mostly because I forgot to swap it off, to be honest. Ain't nothing wrong with playing at a lower difficulty if you want a simpler game. Doesn't change any underlying mechanics. Just means, whoa, a bunch of stuff happened. Alright, so Bulgaria has condemned the IMO. So Bulgaria has this essentially insurrection problem, and they have decided it is a bad thing. Second thing, the United Kingdom has conceded to their trade unions, which will lead to increased socialist influence over the government. So, oh boy, looks like Britain might not be so British for quite some longer, or they won't be democratic for long. That's an interesting turn of events. We have invented the wrench. Yes, now we have a choice. Do we go for lots of factories, lots of equipment, or do we spread out our factories? So, difference here is you're essentially talking 5% factory output here or there. Concentrated industry gives you more guns overall. Dispersed industry gives you slightly less guns, but makes your factories less worry about less problems with bombing, and also lets you be a lot more flexible. Personally, I like being flexible on my production, so I'm going to go for dispersed industry. And also because, I'm likely to get bombed, and I don't like getting bombed. The Second London Naval Treaty has been signed. That does not affect us, because we do not have a navy. Hopefully, eventually, we will have a navy. That would be nice. Again, we're going super fast speed, because nothing important is happening. We're at, like, a whole day every second, essentially. Balance budget has gone through. So, we can plan out our thing here. So, we could go electing a fascist king, trading with Germany, possibly joining the Axis, reaffirming territorial claims. We could elect a democratic king and join the Allies with Britain, though, as we saw, the Allies are probably not going to be a thing. So instead, I have a different idea in mind. So we are going to strengthen the monarchy, which will give us more unaligned support. There are a number of different ideologies. There is blue is democratic, red is communist, what's it called, like grayish is fascist, and or not grayish, brownish is fascist, and grayish is your unaligned monarchy sort of deal. So we have a bunch of political power. Let's spend it. We have a number of people you could buy. I'm going to buy Zoltán Tilde, I cannot speak Hungarian, who will simply give us more political power. So the sooner you buy a silent workhorse, the better it is. The US has passed the Neutrality Act, so they are probably not going to get involved in the war anytime soon, though they can still probably ship guns over. We are going to continue just having time pass. Construction is done. So we could go for construction too, but because it is ahead of time, it will take a heck of a lot longer to research, so personally, to me, that's not worth it. So let us invent the truck. That might be handy if we want any divisions to go super fast. We are again getting a bunch of political power. Our stability is going up. We've got a fair amount of support for wars. A penalty for tungsten rubber, but it's only -1, so I'm not worried too much about it. Because we did our secret rearmament, we are actually going to secretly start partially mobilizing the economy. Our economic law, this determines consumer goods, which is how many factories we have to dedicate to toaster production, how hard it is to build factories, and obviously civilian economy is pretty bad. Partial mobilization, a lot better. Ideally, you want to get to war economy or total mobilization, but, for 1936, partial mobilization is pretty good. So now we have less consumer goods, and also we gain a benefit to constructing military factories, and no longer a penalty to building civvy factories. So suddenly, if we go over to our construction tab, we are suddenly building these a heck of a lot faster. And Italy has eaten Ethiopia, which is something that happens fairly often. We still have basically no manpower, so hopefully we'll be able to deal with that eventually. We could consider disbanding our Air Force for manpower, though that seems somewhat counterproductive, because that's what we intend to use our manpower for. And the Spanish Civil War has happened. So we have the Democrats/Communists fighting the Nationalists. Do we care about this? Maybe. We could possibly... normally I consider we might be able to send a volunteer force, but we need at least 30 divisions to do that, and at least 40% world tension, so we are not getting involved in that conflict. Stalin has finished murdering all of his officers, which is a thing he does, which gives him a massive penalty here to organization, factory output, a whole bunch of stuff. Which means the Soviet Union is going to be super weak until around 1940 or so. But I don't think we want to go to war with the Soviets, so not a big deal. We have finished strengthening the monarchists, and so it is time for us to elect the king, which will give us stability. And oh no, there is a problem with our imports. Yeah, it looks like there's a whole bunch of people buying stuff from Sweden, so there isn't a whole lot left to go around. So I'm not going to trade with Sweden anymore. And yeah, let's be friends with the Soviets. So I'm going to buy some Soviet steel. It looks like a royal wedding has happened in Brazil. So this is one of the things in the new Portuguese tree. It looks like the Portuguese monarch has, has married someone in the Brazilian monarchy. So we may see a monarchist Portugal, depending what happens. That might be good, that might be bad, depending on what our foreign policy goals are. The Olympics has happened, 1936. Everything has happened. All is well. We are continuing to build our factories, looking to gain political power. Sometimes you just have to let time pass. This is our fuel. We only have 1 oil, so we're not getting a huge amount of fuel. And okay, the United Kingdom has gone full decolonization. So something tells me, yeah, that's a lot of red there, United Kingdom. Something tells me the British Empire is not going to be a thing soon. So, yeah, have fun with that, Britain. Not our problem. We want to be eventually put our artillery and stuff in our divisions. In order to edit our divisions, we need army XP, which means we need to either fight a war, or we need a military theorist. And so I'm going to get ourselves a military theorist, which will slowly give us a little bit of army experience. And this will allow us to modify our divisions even before we're at war. Currently our 2 divisions are like 6 things of infantry. Ooh, let me finish researching. And like 4 things of cavalry. So ideally I'd like to be able to strap some artillery to these infantry guys, but need army XP to do that. Okay, time to research stuff. So if we're going to focus on artillery, let's get better artillery. All this is still ahead of time. Let's invent the radio, which will help our divisions reinforce better in combat. This guy also gives us a bonus when researching land doctrines, which are these things, so we may wish to consider picking a doctrine. So, time to elect a king. We are going to elect Otto von Habsburg, and we will restore the Habsburg Emperor, or the Habsburg monarch, to his rightful throne in Hungary. This was a thing that was actually attempted, believe it or not, historically, though obviously the Allies didn't allow this to happen. Though with Britain going communist, I think they have slightly more things to worry about. So we are at 99% stability, and inviting Mr. Habsburg will give us more political power and will let us create factions. The truck is done. Let us invent a machine gun. That will help our divisions with the attacking. Because something tells me we're going to be going to war soon. I would very much like to get rid of this whole disarmed nation thing, but we have to get rid of this Treaty of Trianon. And there are a few ways to do that. The first one is obviously going the democratic path. Third way is to just straight up renounce it under the fascist path, which is obviously the most violent approach. Personally, I'm going to be going with the blend agreement with Romania, which is basically asking nicely. It'll also go away if and when we go to war, though ideally I'd like to build a few military factories before we get to war. And alright, we have another 150 political power. We are currently building civilian factories. So let's hire a captain of industry who will help us build civilian factories slightly faster. We've certainly got the political power to spare. Generally, your 3 advisors here help you politically. These ones help you research stuff faster, and these ones down here give you combat bonuses. There's also your trade law, which is how the higher your trade law, the more resources you're going to export, but you get more passive benefits. Currently, we are on export focus, so we are exporting exactly 2 of the 5 steel we produce. So We also have a crap ton of aluminum, though sadly no one is buying any of it. And alrighty. In search of a suitable king, the Kingdom of Hungary extended an invitation to Mr. Otto von Habsburg to return to the lands that were, up until very recently, ruled by his family. Otto, who has lived in exile throughout Western Europe since the end of the Great War and the dissolution of his father's empire, chose to accept the offer. Today, amidst much fanfare and celebration, he was crowned the King of Hungary in a solemn ceremony at the Royal Palace in Budapest. During his coronation speech, King Otto thanked the Hungarian people for their loyalty and devotion, and vowed to see the Habsburg lands reunited once more, promising that this time Hungary would be the dominant constituent part. We are no longer a kingdom in name only. So, since we are the Kingdom of Hungary, an option would be to go down the whole Austria-Hungary way. And we could immediately demand a referendum or immediately declare war on them. Personally, I'd like to demand a referendum. But in order to do this, Austria has to like us. And oh look, here's a focus over here that makes Austria and Czechoslovakia like us for building some railroads. So let's worry about that right now. So we still have this Treaty of Trianon thing, which is still bad, but currently we're not at war, and we're only building civilian factories to boost up our infrastructure. Generally, you only want to build civilian factories for the first few years of the game, since civilian factories help you build other civilian factories. The more civvy factories you have, the better. We have finished researching a thing. What is another thing we can research? It's now 1937, so the next line of industry is up, so I'm going to get better construction tools. I know I said I'd get land doctrine, but industry is very important. We may consider even hiring an industrial concern, just to get that industry research even faster. This focus will also give us a bonus when it comes to researching things. So that is done. Let us get second level of dispersed industry. Because all this helps us get stuff faster. And on that note, I'm going to hire Mavag here, which will help us research industry stuff 15% faster. Letting time pass. This will help us research industry even faster. We are currently 44% of the government is okay with being a monarchy under Mr. Otto von Habsburg. Alright, we have another level, so let's get even more industry. So all our research slots are on industry right now. We now have a number of planes in reserve because we've been building a crap ton of them. Essentially, the longer you leave a factory on production, the more likely it is to start building that equipment. So because we've left this factory producing, it's now able to produce one factory is able to produce a whole plane in 1.5 weeks, which is super good. Oh boy, Japan declared war on Japan. What is going on over there? Looks like Japan's in a civil war. We've got the fascist side over here, and the Japanese People's Republic. Oh boy, so we got a very communist world right here. Qing China over here is now independent, or they're still an imperial subject of fascist Japan. Not sure why they changed their name there. Menguko over here, but yeah, assuming the Japanese People's Republic wins this civil war, I think that means they'd be free. Interesting. Well, that's helpful for China. Doesn't affect us a whole lot. But now let us reintegrate the railroads. So we are going to build a bunch of railroad networks, and our neighbors are going to like us more as we continue to build factories, which will help us build more factories. We are even producing 2.39 political power per day. Normally it takes a point of political power to do a focus, but we have so many political power bonuses, mostly because we restored the Habsburg monarchy, that we are getting a crap ton of political power per day. We're also fairly full on fuel, so something to burn fuel is, oh boy, something else has happened. It looks like the anarchists have popped out of Spain, so there is now a three-way civil war going on in Spain. Wonder how, again, not our problem. That's probably pretty bad for Mr. Schmittler and Mr. Italy here, who are supporting the fascists. And alright, we got another 150 political power. That's something we can spend it on. Let's spend it on better aircraft, because we will eventually need more aircraft. Army experience is at 10. Alright, so we can now finally edit our divisions. So I'm going to edit this division template. I'm going to add support artillery, which in general will give us more attack and more defense and better breakthrough. That will also cost us 12 pieces of artillery per division. If I hover over this, we will require 4,000 manpower, which we don't have, and 168 towed pieces of artillery. So we're going to get manpower eventually, so yes, I will change all 14 of these divisions. So again, they're only at 60% fighting strength, but once we fix our manpower problem, these divisions will be even better. I have these 2 cavalry divisions. I don't think we're going to use cavalry all that much, and we could use the manpower. So I'm going to expand these 2 cavalry divisions, gives us an extra 7,000 manpower, and the game will automatically redistribute that among our divisions. So now each of these is around 62% fighting expense. They have gone down in veterancy, so I'm going to shift left click this button to train our divisions back up to regular, which is 25% better at combat. Poland, it looks like Poland has made their Between the Seas faction. I cannot pronounce that word, so that means they will not be joining the Allies, mostly because I don't think the Allies are going to be a thing much longer with all this communism. We have reintegrated the railroads. Austria now likes us. We're going to spend some political power making them like us even more, and then we are going to politely ask them if they'd be okay with democratically joining our country. Because we are all about democracy here in the Habsburg Empire. The Hindenburg has blown up. That doesn't affect us. I'm going to delete our front line. And just because of how democratic and happy we are, we're just going to line our entire army up on the Austrian border, you know, just to cheer them on. And I don't know what this is about. Just a military exercise is all it is. Totally not preparing to invade Austria if they vote the wrong way. No. Military exercise. And alright, we got an extra research speed. So it might be worth going for Construction 3. It's 300% extra at a time, but we have an extra 100 days, or an extra 100% bonus, so we could do this. Personally, I don't want to spend like two-thirds of a year on one tech. Rather, I think I'm going to spend it on researching synthetic oil experiments, which will let us build synthetic refineries, because I think we're going to need them. Brute machine tools is done. Since we got that research bonus for aircraft, let's get better fighters. And also another benefit of this aircraft designer is when we research fighters or carrier fighters, we get 10% better agility, which helps our fighters in their dogfights. Dispersed Industry 2 is done. Let us... we've got decent tanks, but okay, let's pick a land doctrine. So there's 4 main ones here. Mobile warfare is the Blitzkrieg doctrine, which is all about tanks and going fast, and just moving forward as fast as you can. It eventually splits into Blitzkrieg, which is all about tanks, and mobile infantry, which is more about like mechanized, and if you can't afford to build all these tanks. Then this splits into modern Blitzkrieg, which is all about just going super fast, buffing your tanks with 20% more breakthrough, which is huge. Or the historical path of desperate defense, which just gives you crap tons of recruitable population and then buffs your garrisons. There is superior firepower, which is the American doctrine of just throwing crap tons of artillery at the problem. We can either, depending if we want to focus on support artillery or line artillery, and then air-land battle, which buffs our planes and army, and shock and awe, which is just a straight up like 5% better or 10% better to the entire army. Grand Battle Plan is the British doctrine, which is all about planning. It's all about trench warfare, preparing defenses. You get a nice 20% extra attack at night and less supply consumption, but it's all about planning your offensives and getting huge planning bonuses. Then you have Real Soviet Doctrine, which is all about just throwing massive amounts of everything. There is mass mobilization, which is if you just want to mass charge the enemy with crap tons of infantry. There's even like less combat width for you, and even like 5% extra population. And you'll see this one's actually shorter than the other doctrines because it's assumed you're doing it out of desperation. Or deep paddle, which is all about having a very large front with lots of tanks and just running all the way over Europe. Personally, none of these really is going to fit our doctrine, but we want to go focus on artillery, so I'm going to take superior firepower. So this will give us the ability to perform suppressive barrages, which that's our general's problem, but also 10% extra attack versus the whole army. I think that's a pretty good pick. And oh boy, Spain's civil war just went 4-way, because of course it did. So now the monarchists have jumped out. Yeah, the monarchists have jumped out of the nationalists. So that's a 4-way Spanish civil war. Wish we couldn't been. Looks very interesting, but we're not going to get involved in that quite yet. We have another 150 political power. I'm going to hire an armor company here to help us research tanks, if and when we decide to research tanks. Because tanks are handy to have. We have an extra, like, 9,000 guns, so I'm going to take one factory off guns and put it on artillery. So you'll see whenever I swap a factory like this, the efficiency goes down. But over time, the efficiency of the factory we swapped will go back up. So in general, you don't want to swap factories around like this. But because we went with the whole dispersed industry, we get a 10% bonus to swapping factories around like this. So it starts at around 50% efficiency rather than like 10% efficiency. I think it means, no, it starts at 20% efficiency instead of 10% efficiency. And okay, Amelia Earhart happened. Doesn't affect us. Though funny enough, she can become a fighter in the United States if stuff happens. And it looks like Roosevelt got voted out, and now we have Mr. Alva Landon, who is president. Interesting. So we are currently demanding a referendum from Austria. Ta-da! Stuff has happened. So the president of Mexico, who is this gentleman, has decided to make his own faction called the Bolivarian Alliance of Central and Latin America. Not sure why he's doing that, but okay, have fun with that. Though from the looks of things, tensions are very high, but we might have a democratic Mexico. Interesting. Alright. And already, referendum has succeeded. Shortly after midnight, Mr. Kurt, leader of Austria, has announced the Austrian people has voted for a union with Hungary. A telegram has arrived formally offering Otto von Habsburg the crown of Austria in a first step to revive the double monarchy. So, we have now taken over Austria without a shot being fired. Wonderful. So now it is time to restore Austria-Hungary. Since we took over Austria, we now have control of a little bit of their industry. Let's put it on artillery. We also have their army, which I am immediately going to turn into the Hungarian divisions, which will give us a little bit more manpower and a better army. I am going to delete 2 of these divisions, however, because generals can usually only command up to 24 divisions. So now we've got 24 divisions, some spare manpower, and yeah, I think it's going well. However, generally, if you take over a state that is not your own, it counts as occupied, so you do not get nearly as much as, say, Austria would control of it, so we're only getting 2% of their manpower, 75% or 25% of their factories, minus 65% of the local resources, and also this resistance will come up, which is basically the people resisting our rule. Thankfully, by restoring Austria-Hungary, all of these will become core territory of us, and so we will not have to deal with any of that rebellion nonsense. So I'm going to line up our army on the Czechoslovakian border for no particular reason, and let's let some time pass. So a news article comes out. These world news pop-ups are basically what the entire world gets whenever something important happens. So in this case, Austria votes to unite with Hungary. This is something the entire world knows. And now we are very thick. Our manpower is immediately being distributed to all of our divisions. So most of our divisions are now at full fighting strength, which is great. I'm immediately going to start training these divisions. These ones are green, so it's minus 25% combat effectiveness. And so I'd like to ideally get everyone back up to trained. Also, we have 100% command power, which we've had for a while. So I'm going to promote our general here. Generals tend to have all of these random ass traits, which give them bonuses. I'm going to make him a guerrilla fighter, which will help him entrench faster in a defensive war. And I'm going to click on our field marshal, and I'm going to make him offensive, which will help us when attacking, and we will lose less organization when moving. And I will make him charismatic, so our divisions recover their morale faster. Okay, another 150 political power. Still haven't gotten rid of that Treaty of Trianon thing, which is bad. Since we've been focusing on artillery, I'm going to hire this artillery company for 15% faster researching of artillery stuff. Alrighty. We've got a lot of guns, we've got a heck ton of equipment, just no manpower. So we might need to get rid of this Treaty of Trianon thing. Though restoring Austria-Hungary does give us cores on all this Czechoslovakian land, which we would like to take over. And alright, we have invented the synthetic refinery. What's something else we can consider researching? Let's invent the armored car, because armored cars benefit from our armor company designer, and armored cars are great when it comes to dealing with rebels, which we might have problems with in the future. Again, you'll notice I'm spending most of our political power on researching bonuses. I don't want to worry about any of this military stuff until we actually have to fight a war, which hopefully shouldn't be for a while. It's only 1937, and we have beaten Mr. Germany to the Anschluss, and so Germany is probably not a huge fan of us. We invented the fighter. Let's start working on our air doctrine. So there's 3 air doctrines. There's strategic destruction, which is all about bombing your enemy. There's battlefield support, which is all about bombing your enemy's troops. And operational integrity, which is all about both, and specifically tactical bombers. We've got a bunch of close air support, so I'm going to focus on battlefield support. And alrighty. With the reunification of Austria and Hungary completed, the Hungarian government has gathered international press in Budapest and announced the restoration of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. King Otto has assumed his rightful title as Emperor of Austria and has reiterated his vow that the empire is but a shadow of his former self. He shall not rest until all Habsburg lands have been reunited. Their neighbors undoubtedly eye the proceedings in Budapest suspiciously. Like a phoenix from the ashes, we are now Austria-Hungary. Wonderful. So this leads us into a number of things. So we obviously do not own all the land that Austria-Hungary used to possess, but you'll notice that all of Czechoslovakia is core states of us. We've also now cored all of Austria, so we now have access to 100% of their factories, which I'm immediately going to put on fighter production, because fighters are handy to have. We have more free civilian factories, which we're going to use to build even more civilian factories. But I think the main thing we need to do right now is fix this whole manpower problem. So let's start working on some war games and try to get rid of this Treaty of Trianon. Czechoslovakia is our next target. They are currently guaranteeing the independence of Romania, though critically no one is guaranteeing their independence. And if you know anything about World War II, you're going to know that Hitler is going to want to eat the Sudetenland. So hopefully we can convince Czechoslovakia that that's probably not going to happen as part of our empire. 150 political power, wonderful. We can hire a new guy. So since we're going to be getting rid of the Treaty of Trianon, we're going to hire this war industrialist, which gives us faster building of military factories. We're not doing any of that right now, but I imagine once we get rid of the Treaty of Trianon, we will be building a heck of a lot more military factories. Because this gives us minus 50 when it comes to building military factories, which is really bad. And also, I don't think Romania will agree to let us rearm if we've already started a massive war. So all we've done so far is eat Austria, so if we're just like, hey, please, do you mind getting rid of this treaty, that'd be nice. And alright, that is something we can research now. Armor, let's worry about armor. So we have heavy tanks, which gives tons of bonuses to attacking, but are very slow, or light tanks, which are very fast, but less powerful. These are also cheaper to produce, so let's invent light tanks. Because we know from history that light tanks are fairly useful. We don't call them panzers, but they function the same way. Another thing we can start doing is expanding our air force, because we've got a bunch of planes in reserve. So this plane wing of 72, we're going to temporarily increase it to 1,000. This close air support, we're also going to temporarily increase to 1,000. Not because we expect to get this many planes, but this is basically my way of saying to the game, alright, any planes we have, put them in the sky. And bang! We only have like 130 odd fighters, but they're going up slightly. And alright, we're also at full fuel, and so because we don't want to waste fuel, something we can do is I'm going to start some pilot exercises. So this will consume fuel, but will train our pilots and also slowly give us air experience. This obviously uses a bit more fuel than just sitting there, but it's also less fuel than having them actually fight. So currently our pilots are pretending to dogfight and getting slightly more experience. Alright, we have completed our war games, and so now we're going to politely ask Romania, hey, can we please rearm? That would be nice. And again, for no particular reason, I'm just going to grab the entire army and put it on the Romanian border, just as a way of saying, hey, we're rather serious about our right to peacefully rearm. No particular reason. And alright, we've got quite a bit of army experience. What can we... So we inherited all of Austria's templates. Do they have any decent ones? This is decent, I guess. That is definitely terrible. Let's get rid of that. That is also terrible. We have 2 cavalry units. They're both bad, but this one has a recon company in it, so it's at least decent, so delete that. They had a Alpine unit, which is decent, and their infantry division is just a fatter version of our infantry division. Oh, that's another thing we can do. Let's edit our infantry division. So I'm going to add a recon company to our infantry, and I'm also going to lower the amount of infantry in it. This will give us a combat width of 10. So generally you want a combat width that is somewhere in the realm of 10, 20, or 40. However, I did mention I wanted to put artillery in our divisions. So I'm actually going to say a bit differently on that. I'm going to add that much. So we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 infantry and 2 divisions of artillery. This will give us a crap ton more in the term of soft and hard attack, but it will require 60,000 soldiers, which we don't have, another 3,000 infantry equipment, which we have, another 2,000 support equipment, which we have, and another 1,700 artillery pieces, which we don't have, but we'll make eventually. So sure, entire army. This will obviously... the entire army is now back to 61% strength, and we are now hugely in the debt with artillery pieces. But again, we're going to worry about that later, because we're not fighting for a while. Unless Romania says no. Romania saying no would be bad. And alright, we have 150 political power. So what do we want to spend it on? Cavalry, ace combat, army expert, which is 10% attack across the board. Sure, let's grab that. So again, problem with manpower. Mexico declared war on the UK. The hell happened down? Oh boy. Oh yeah, also Mexico's in a civil war. They're trying to... I don't know what's going on in Mexico. They're in a fascist civil war, and apparently they want to kill themselves. Have fun with that, Mexico. That isn't our business. Again, we are now politely asking Romania, hey, can we please rearm? The Mexican junta joined the Allies. What? Well, the Allies are a thing. So despite how communist they are looking, it looks like fascist Mexico has joined Communist UK. Or they're not quite communist, but they are. Communists are probably going to win the nearby election. This is an interesting situation indeed. Mexico, I think you have made some poor political decisions. So something tells me Mexico is not going to be, that Bolivarian alliance they came up with is not going to be a thing, so Mexico has now declared war on Guatemala. Okay, the seat of Mexico must currently be laced with uranium, because they are committing political suicide here. How many troops do they have? 8 to 40. The other side has 6 to 25, and the UK is 18 to 85. Well then. We invented the armored car. Let's invent a better gun. Honduras has joined the Allies because Mexico has declared war. What are you doing, Mexico? Oh my god. Alright, Turkey has remilitarized the Bosphorus. Whatever, not our business. We are now in the deficit for rubber because we are producing fighters, and which definitely require them. So we're going to buy some rubber from, I guess, the British Malaya. Sure. Didn't think the Allies would be a thing this game, but apparently they are. Alrighty. Let us need to pump out artillery for our artillery divisions, pump out fighters for our fighter divisions, and hopefully we can get rid of this darn Treaty of Trianon. That would be super helpful. If not, we're going to have to invade Romania, who has 15 to 55 divisions, so I think they probably have us beat. And their independence is guaranteed by Czechoslovakia, who is another target of ours. Wonderful. So I think I'm going to make a new division out of one of Austria's divisions, and I'm going to name this division Shovels. So I don't think I'm going to use this division for attacking. Rather, this is going to be a sit there, die in the trench division. We don't have any manpower, but we have plenty of equipment, so hopefully, if we go to war, we'll have enough manpower to... Yeah, we have like 5,000 spare guns. We are tons of gear here. We just have no manpower. Please work. Panama has joined the Allies because Mexico is insane. Mexico's declared war on Costa Rica, resulting in them joining the Allies. Oh boy, Mexico, what are you doing? Let's get some factories in the meantime. Nicaragua has joined the Allies because Mexico is insane. The blended agreement, we have managed to secure Romanian support for a partial revision of the Treaty of Trianon. All restrictions on our military have been removed, the international arms inspectors have left the country, and the War Ministry has already drawn up initial plans for an expansion of our armed forces. So replace Treaty of Trianon, bang, we have the blended agreement, which is doing nothing, which is awesome. Wonderful, we can now finally build military factories. Oh my god, that is great. Alright, so Yugoslavia has issued a note of protest. Good for them. Czechoslovakia has issued a note of protest. Good for them. Don't care. We're immediately going to go from disarmed nation up to volunteer only and get some friggin' manpower. Oh my god, that would be great. We had soldiers. The rate at which we get manpower is based off mobilization speed, which is based off war support. So we have a fairly high war support, so our manpower will begin slowly trickling out. First, it's going to fill up all of these divisions up to full fighting strength. Then it will start adding into all the divisions we have in training, and then it'll add back into the manpower bank. So we are going to be at no manpower for quite a while. New research slot, let's research computing machines. We invented the light tank. Let's invent a better light tank before we start producing them. And this will civically give us more civilian factories. Oh boy, alrighty. So our next target is Czechoslovakia. Let's line up on the Czechoslovak border. Plan an invasion. Though hopefully we won't have to do this armed conflict. Hopefully we can again do this diplomatically. That would be great. Simply we're going to do the protect Czechoslovakia focus, which is basically saying, hey, that Hitler guy wants to eat you. Would you like to join our country instead? So they can say, no, They can agree to become a puppet, or best case scenario is they say sure and just let us basically eat their entire country. That'd be ideal. No chance of that happening, but it might happen. Mr. Schmittler over here is very unhappy. We don't have a whole lot of information about his country, so what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to start spending some factories to build an intelligence agency. This is one of the new things of the new DLC called La Resistance, and so I'm going to pick this symbol. I'm going to say, what should I name this intelligent industry? The NSA. Perfect. Alright, so we are now forming the NSA, which will take 5 factories and about 25 more days. This obviously comes out of our production under here, or under special projects. We're also currently still trading away factories for steel and rubber, so we only have about 8 of our factories on consumer goods, mostly due to our very high stability. And okay, 150 political power. Let's go up to limited conscription. So we are not... Our secret rearmament is now gone, because we are very, very much not secret about our rearmament. We are getting manpower, supporting domestic industry, and okay, Czechoslovakia, please join our country, as we continue to... we'll ask you nicely, as our manpower slowly trickles in. Free research slot, let's get better machine guns. Usually going to war with 0 manpower is a bad idea, but I do not plan to go to war. If they say no, I'm just going to have to say, okay. Okay, we'll worry about that later when we have manpower. The NSA has been created. Wonderful. So we're going to manage our intelligence agency. The first thing I'm going to build is a Cryptology Department, which allows us to decrypt the ciphers of opposing countries. This will take 8 factories and about 30 days or so, but hopefully we can start breaking ciphers, because I guess a good question to be is, who is our enemies right now and who is our allies? That's the thing to be worrying about. We know Mr. Adolf Hitler wants to eat Austria, and we know he also wants to eat the Sudetenland, so Germany might be an opposer. Italy wants to eat some land over here, so they might be an enemy. Romania, definitely an enemy of ours, because they are guaranteeing the independence of a bunch of countries we want to take over, so Romania is definitely an enemy. France? France is strengthening the unions, oh boy, so we might have Communist France and Communist UK. I don't know if they are going to be our enemies, though. I suppose it remains to be seen who our enemies and who our allies are, although obviously we can only just create our own faction. Perhaps we might be willing to join Poland's faction. They are not interested in having us join the... I can't pronounce that. So, alright, Czechoslovakia, please be okay with us joining. And yeah, we are slowly getting in on our artillery deficit, which is great. Alright, we've invented the Cryptology Department. We are an operative that can be recruited. These ones are randoms. This guy is great at, if he gets captured, it'll be very hard for the enemy to extract intel out of him. So let's go with him, and let's send him to build an intel network in Transylvania, in Romania, because I believe Romania is going to be our enemy. So for our Cryptology Department, we're going to have them trying to break the Romanian cipher, which will take 960 days, which is bad. So let's spend some more factories making them better. Obviously, the intelligence agency is just something you can throw a ton of money at, if you so desire, though we only have so many factories. So it may not be hugely important to invest hugely in our intelligence agency, but we might. Yeah, Mexico just completely died. It sucks to be them. We have 150 political power. Let's go with Chief of Air Force. That will help with air superiority. Because how's our Air Force expansion coming? Oh boy. These ones are all trained up. Only have 44 days of fuel left, so let's stop those pilot exercises and just let the fuel seep in from our 2 oil. And alright, Czechoslovakia, how do you feel about being part of Austria-Hungary? And oh boy, we have finished training some of our divisions. That's nice. Alright, so Integratius Brazil has declared war on the Empire of Brazil. Oh, so I think this might be that monarchist civil war that Portugal... Yeah, this is definitely that monarchist civil war that Portugal started. Oh boy, so Portugal may be trying to get the Empire of Brazil on their side, depending on how that goes. We have asked Czechoslovakia to be part of us again. That'd be nice. Let us get us some slots in northern Hungary for more buildings. Bohemia returns to the crown. Following discussion at the highest level that ran late into the night, the Czechoslovakian government has decided to fully accept our offer and proclaimed Otto von Habsburg the King of Bohemia and Margrave of Mauritania. The soldiers of the former Czech army have sworn an oath to their new king and emperor, and the civil administration of the realm has been fully integrated. One more step to reclaiming our birthright. Boom! All of this is us now. That is awesome. We have 56 divisions, which I'm immediately going to get rid of because Jesus Christ, we need manpower. Oh boy. 500,000 manpower. That is awesome. Alrighty. This will also give us a crap load of forward factories, which it has automatically assigned to artillery and fighters, which we definitely need. We need tungsten now. Who is selling tungsten? Portugal. Sure, we'll buy your tungsten. Wonderful. Alrighty, radio intersection groups. So I've decided that Romania is our enemy. So I'm going to line this army up on Romania's border. And alrighty, manpower is immediately already trickling into our army. We are going to train more shovels to protect our borders. Let us assign all our shovels to a new general. And let's assign them to this border. Do we have a second field marshal? Yes, we have all the Czech and Austrian field marshal. Wonderful. So Karl Isinger, you are great at defending, so you are going on the German border, which we now have a very long border. And also we inherited all of their forts, which are level 7 forts. Nice. Alrighty. We've got level 2 tanks. Things are going great for us. We have some oil, so let's get better fuel refining, just in case. We have... Alright, so let's wait for... Let's train a bunch more shovels. Because we have the manpower, and we have the artillery for it. Wonderful. Alright, so I will say, as these guys get trained, press this button, click on this order, and they will automatically get assigned to this garrison order along our German border. Because that is where I'm expecting an offensive to come from. Because something tells me Germany -10. Alright, so they don't hate us that much. We could dismantle the Czechoslovakian forts, but why would I ever do something like that? And alright, we are continuing to build factories. Let's build some more factories in Czechoslovakian, aka our new land. We are building crap tons of factories. What's our intelligence agency? 400 days for the Romanian cipher. Let's work on some counterintelligence. That'd be great. And already more industry. Let's get tactical bombers. Those might be handy to have. Alrighty, so I think we're doing pretty good. It's 1938, we have essentially tripled in size. We've got a little over 300,000 manpower to play with. Can't really up the conscription or partial mobilization law any further until we go to war. Let's get army regrouping, which will give us our troops so they will recover faster. Alrighty. We are definitely training a bunch of shovels. Computing machine, done. Invent the radio. And alright, let's consider making an armored division. That would... Oh boy, we inherited all the Czech templates as well. Alright, is this any good? That's a shitty version of our template, so delete. That's a shitty template. Oh. They have a tank template, which has cavalry in it, which is terrible. We have this decent. We could probably work on that. So let's delete that. We already have a cavalry template, so Yeah, it's garbage. Delete that template. How's this mountain inventory? That's 18 mountains, and this is 12 mountains. So that one's bigger. Let's keep the Czech template. This one's just a fat ton of infantry. Don't worry about that. And alright, let's worry about making our armored divisions. Alright, so in order to make these divisions, we need light tanks. We need motorized. We've got a bunch of tanks that we ate from the Czechs. So let us say all our new factories will go on motorized and light tanks. Is there anything else we should be producing? Let's make a few armored cars. Not hugely important, but might be good to have in case we start occupying land, because all of this is core state, so we don't need to... All of this is core state, so we do not need to do any occupying here, which is awesome. However, if we invade Romania, this is a Romanian core state, so if we own it, we'd have to deal with resistance there. And why would we be owning Romania? Well, we can just claim some land of theirs and demand land, which is something we might do. Communists are in Paris. Gee, I wonder why. Support urbanization. Wonderful. Alright, Qing China has declared war on Japan. What is going on in Japan? How is the Civil War going? Still communist versus fascist? Alright, so the bolster nationalism. Alright, what is going on here? The Manchu War on Japan. So I'm going to click the globe here. Current wars. Japanese Civil War. So the Qing China have... Oh, okay, so the Qing China were a puppet of fascist Japan. They have now broken free and joined the communists in their war against fascist Japan. Cool. Have fun with that. Not our business. So, alright, I think I'm going to start claiming this area of Transylvania, which belonged to us before the war, and I'd like it back, please. And my army here is the reason I'm saying yes. So again, we're going to train them up a little bit, get them all trained, ideally, before the war starts. That'd be great. Can we assign a new trait to this guy? We can, but there's no traits he has earned. And alright, I've got a bunch of artillery, so let's cut back a little bit on that and start building motorized and light tanks. And alright, we now have a need of more rubber. So let's buy more from the British, because I don't think they're going to be an enemy this game. Alright, so we are continuing to build a bunch of shovels. And let's train 5 light tank divisions. That should be enough. Alright, how's our spying going? So I'm going to go into leisure. 19 to 58 versus our 43. So I think we're pretty evenly matched in terms of army. We have 800 airplanes. We definitely have them beaten airplanes. They have a navy. We don't. Doesn't matter. We have 30 military factories. They have 9. Okay, so I think we're probably going to win this war. Unless, of course, someone is guaranteeing their independence. They are guaranteeing the independence of a bunch of countries, but no one cares about them. Wonderful. So this would be great. Build some more factories. Alright, let's do more fighters. This gives us a penalty, because we have a crap ton of aluminum as Hungary, so I say we make advantage of that. Alrighty, we have another person we can recruit. Let's go cavalry. Cavalry, we're not using any cavalry, but this will boost motorized attack and defense. Or no, armor specialist. That's only a 5% boost to armor. This is a 10% boost to motorized. The other option is a chief of navy, which we don't have. Military high command. Or we're not building civilian factories anymore, so we could replace this guy with an elusive gentleman, which will give us an extra operative slot and make the intelligence agency easier to upgrade. So I think we're going to replace that guy. So this will give us another spy and make it much easier to upgrade our intelligence agency, which is, I think, exactly what we're about to do. Integrated as Brazil took Tuesday Empire, Brazil was annexed. Uh-oh. So it looks like that whole Portuguese-Brazilian monarchy thing not going anywhere. I think I just accidentally clicked on Brazil. Yeah, we do not want to decrypt the Brazilian, decrypt the Brazilian cipher. We want to focus on the Romanian one. Alrighty, we're going to claim Transylvania and say this is ours. No boy, we got 29 people in this one army. That is not what we want. Let's split this guy up. And let's assign, do we have any decent defensive generals? We could assign a field marshal, that'd be terrible. You're terrible, but sure, I'll take you. And alright, let me rearrange this on the German border. Because something tells me Mr. Hitler is going to want our piece of our land. And I'll say, alright, you guys mobilize in Bohemia. So claiming Transylvania. Let's give. Rather than face the might of our armies, the cowardly Romanians have decided to return our rightful territories. The entirety of Transylvania has been given over to our administration. Our forces have taken full control. Mine. Wonderful. We have now taken some of our land. Because we have a big army, and people are scared of that army, which is awesome. Where's some more land we can grab? March to the shore. A true great power requires access to the sea. The coast of the Adriatic is our birthright. This gives us claims and cores in all over Yugoslavia. They are guaranteed of Romania, but what's their army size? 14 to 33, and Romania is still only around 30 to 50. Honestly, I think we can take both of them. Let's line this army up on Yugoslavia. Let's plan our invasion just directly to the Adriatic. And say, alright, instead of trading more shovels, let's get an offensive army going. I'd like to train a full army of 24 soldiers. Alright, so stuff has happened. So, this is us. Romania has just given us free territory. I'll take it. Indian National Congress in the recent local elections, the Indians have, in the platform of slow and ordered transition, to local government. The Indians have rejected Gandhi, so cool. Alright, so India's doing nothing. This is our tank template. Let's add some more tanks to it. And let's add some motorized infantry to it. And let's add some support artillery to it. This costs us 30 infantry, 30 army experience, but now we're at 20 combat width. So this will make our tanks stronger whenever they're done. These are more pawns. Pawns are good. Mexican junta declared war on the UK, and the Mexican junta joined the Axis. Oh boy, who is the Mexican junta? Is that the fascist dictatorship you propped up in Mexico, Britain? Man, that came back to fight you. Oh boy. Alright, so this means... Yeah, this means the UK is now at war with the Germans. Cool. Okay, didn't actually expect that to happen. But, yeah, and it happened over in Mexico. Cool. Alright. That's none of our business, but good to know. I have another spy. Seducers, better at infiltration. Natural orator, greater at staging coups. I think we're going to take the infiltration guy. And alright, we actually took over this land, so we don't need that anymore. So let's start building an intel network in Romania. And building an intel network in Yugoslavia. Alrighty, and alright, now the Germans are at war. So let's start some war propaganda against them, which will up our war support. And oh boy, because we took a bunch of Transylvanian land, Bulgaria has seen fit to seize this little bit of land. And so Romania is now a lot weaker, and now they're immediately appointing a pro-Axis government. Gee, I wonder why. Alrighty. Well then, this is a interesting turn of events. I think we might be at war with the Axis, hilariously enough. Yeah, so we're waiting for that. Let's train a few more shovel divisions, just to man the Romanian and Polish border. Let's train, we train 6 more. Intelligence agency. We're infiltrating. Let's get, 10 factories is a lot. Take suicide pills, which makes it much less likely for our guys to get detected, which is nice. And yeah, we are actually occupying territory now. So we seized this Transylvania, and even though we had a claim on this land, it's still not core Hungary. So the people in this land are not huge fans of us owning them. So they're going to go up and up in resistance. So there's a number of ways we can handle this. We can just have civilian oversight, so we have less garrisons. It makes it much less likely for them to rise up, or it makes it slightly less likely for them to rise up. The main thing is we're trying to build compliance, which is them being okay with us ruling them. Alternatively, we can go straight up to like forced labor, harsh quota, martial law, which will make our garrisons bigger and we'll get more out of the land, though obviously the population will hate us. Personally, I think we can afford the expense, so I'm just going to say, is there anything hugely valuable in this land? There's 1, 2, 3, there's like 6 factories. That's not a huge deal. I'd rather not deal with the resistance problems. So I'm going to say, alright, we're going to take our cavalry division, because cavalry is good at suppressing stuff, and say, alright, cavalry, almost 2 divisions of cavalry will be required to suppress this area. Cavalry will deal with that. Ideally, we want armored cars, which is why I've been producing a little bit of armored cars, though, again, we need army experience to do that. In order to get army experience, we need to be at war. Though, we will be at war soon, hopefully. Alright, we are continuing to build crap tons of military factories. I do not want to build them in the Sudetenland in case Germany asks for it, because I don't think I'm in a good position to fight Germany right now. That would be insane. Though we are getting into a pretty good position. Alright, bombers have been researched. That's still ahead of time. That's still ahead of time. Something we want to research. Could get doctrines, air doctrines, ships. Yeah, let's go military police, which will help us suppressing that territory we recently got. Insufficient resources. We need a little bit of rubber, but it's only -3, so I don't really care. I'm mostly willing on building our tank divisions and training a bigger army with all that awesome Czechoslovakian manpower we got. So we don't need a claim to justify a war or like a core, but because this gives us cores, we don't need to worry about. We don't need to worry about policing. I'm gonna wait till we do this focus till we get claims and cores. Another research slot. I don't really have anything I want to research. Engineer company, sure, that'll help us entrench our shovels. What has happened here? Oh boy. El Salvador joined the Axis. Mexico declared war on the United States? What? The United States has joined the Allies. So the United States is now at war with the Germans in 1938. Oh boy, that's new. I think you just... So, it looks like Mexico was the result of all of this war. Interesting, alright. Okay, have fun with that, Mexico. Oh, the Imperial Kuomintang... Who is them? That is... Okay, that is Manchuria over here. They have joined the Axis. The Axis is now at war with Communist Japan, I think? Is that how that works? Oh, Venezuela has joined the Axis? Oh boy, things are kicking off now. Alright, we are, funny enough, not involved in any of this. Dominican Republic has joined the Axis. The Republic of Trinidad and Tobago has been invaded by Venezuela. Interesting, so we got a lot of fascists in South and Central America. And we're just sitting here expanding our empire. I'm okay with that. We got manpower, we're getting everything we want done. We might go to war with the Germans, because we eventually do get claims on a bunch of old German titles. Oh, we don't need a research. Let's get better fuel refining, sure. I don't have any need for any of this. Alrighty, we got another 150 political power. Let's hire a new guy. Let's go cavalry expert. Sure, that'll boost our eventual tank divisions when we get them out. Alright, training divisions. March to the shore. Now, time is lagging a bit because obviously there's a whole bunch of wars going on, but we're not involved in that. So all is well. Another operative can be recruited. Let's recruit a infiltrator. And let's have, yeah, so we're already infiltrating these places. We can send more spies, but I think it's better to just keep her home to contribute to counterintelligence back at home. March to the shore. Wonderful. Alright, so we could keep claiming more territory, like Italy, Poland, Bukharavia, a whole bunch of random territories. However, over here we can, wait, what's it called? I just realized we could start work on a new research slot, which will help us research stuff a lot faster. So that's what I'm going to worry about. And last thing I'm going to do is, yeah, Yugoslavia is not being guaranteed by anyone. Looks like the Romanians are scared of us. So, Yugoslavia, how do you feel being part of Austria-Hungary again? I know you're probably not a huge fan of it, but we'd rather insist. And alrighty, since we're starting to justify a war, I'm gonna press this button here to deploy this army instantly. PJ. So obviously these guys are slightly undertrained, but I think it's better if we get them on, what's it called? If we get them on the line. We have a ton of just terrible generals. This guy's a tank officer, so I'm going to leave him for when the tank army is done. You are going to go here on the Romanian border, in case they get all uppity. Do we have any other borders? We have the Polish border. Crap, let's secure the Polish border. And we're going to say these shovel divisions, we're going to deploy them immediately. Which again is bad form. You usually don't want to deploy all your divisions immediately. Right now I want to secure, oh, we didn't secure our Italian border, damn it. Alright, well, that's where the new shovel guys are going. We're going to put you on this army, assign you this general. We're going to tell you guys to start exercising. And we're also going to tell this army to start exercising. And let's train, we're already training more, let's train more shovel divisions. And okay, this is going to cost us, it'll cost us infantry equipment, but we have a bunch of that. Spain's, the Regional Defense Council of Aragon was annexed. Oh boy, alright, so, more communist Spain. Oh boy, yeah, so I think communist and or democratic Spain, is going to win that civil war. We could send volunteers possibly to our fellow monarchists over here, but we need 40% world tension to actually send volunteers because we are currently not aligned. And getting involved in other people's politics is bad. Let's train some more tanks. We've got a bunch of artillery. We need more tanks. It's getting, we have 35,000 guns. I think we're good. Let's start making a few extra bombers. Why not? And okay, I need more steel. Yeah, let's keep training with the Soviets. I don't see any problem with this. We don't plan to attack them. I don't think they plan to attack us. I got 5 extra army XP. Can we spend this on anybody? This division I'm happy with. This division I'm happy with for now. This division, let's add an armored car to our garrison divisions. So this division will suddenly require armored cars, but we have armored cars. And this will help them suppress our uppity part of our empire. They're at 10% resistance. We've already got them up to 8% compliance, which is essentially a penalty to resistance. Cool, alright. I think things are going great. Has anyone decided to defend them? No, so we will be done conquering them 9th of June 1939. Wonderful. I think the expansion of the Austro-Hungarian Empire is going great. And although we may be a peaceful people, our nature alone does not determine the course we must take in history. This is a time of war. For too long, the Yugoslavians have possessed the means that we need to make it through the trials we may face, and it is apparent they will not part with them peacefully. Despite our best efforts to build a modern state, some matters can only be settled through the old trials of battle. Otto von Habsburg's hostile rhetoric towards Yugoslavia has gone to great lengths to justify an invasion. Some portion of the population support this course. The decision lies in the lands of our leader. It may be a difficult decision, but we stand behind it. I think that right there is a good place to call it for tonight. So, hope you had fun, Eusgen. If you enjoy this sort of thing, let me know. and I suppose I'll continue this campaign. But for now, TTYL.